Why have the Canadiens suddenly surged into a playoff spot? At the beginning of the season, after Patrick Laine went down in the preseason, everybody was like, oh no, here we go again, more injuries. It just so happened we got lucky. Laine comes back. The team seems to surge as he comes back, and all of a sudden, after the holiday road trip, we're sitting in the second wildcard spot. Now, it's going to be jumping back and forth for sure because there's three other teams in contention as well, but by and large, it's a situation nobody expected. So we'll dive into it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Montreal Hockey Talk, and we're going to obviously dive into the whole, why are the Canadiens in a playoff spot? Because initially at the beginning of the year, Marty St. Louis said they should be in the mix. The mix, according to some people, is only April. But in order to be in meaningful games in April, you need to be able to maintain a playoff position or just below for the entirety of the season. Now, the Canadiens didn't start off that way. Suddenly, they ring off, I believe, 7 wins in 9 games, including the holiday road trip from hell, as I like to call it. And lo and behold, here we are. Canadiens in the second wild card position based on percentage points because they are, I think it's 0.013 higher than the Pittsburgh Penguins as we speak. But the Penguins, Flyers, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Ottawa Senators are all in action tonight. So by tomorrow's broadcast, it may very well have all changed. But in the meantime, what are the reasons behind it? I think I can give you one, and I think you'll all agree on this one, and that is the sudden rise of one Lane Hutson. I mean, 3 goals, 27 assists, and right now he sits as the rookie scoring leader in the National Hockey League. I mean, it's a situation, we knew he was good. Everybody was talking about how talented this kid was, but it wasn't just on the offensive side of things. If you look at him defensively, sure, he gives away the puck, but he does take away quite a bit as well because he's like a dog on a bone. The minute he loses the puck, he's got to go get it. And that's what I love about Hutson. He's still young. I mean, who knows if things are going to change in that perspective, but right now, as it stands, he's dominating. He's a point ahead of Matvei Michkov in NHL scoring, 2 points behind Macklin Celebrini. I mean, did anybody expect this? Not really. I mean, we thought he would be able to augment the offense. And, first 20 games, he didn't really see much as far as power play time. He was on the second wave. But now, first wave power play time, more TOI. And lo and behold, here's the answer to our prayers. Here comes Lane Hutson. Everybody get ready because everything is great. Everything is awesome. The second thing that is behind the resurgence of the Montreal Canadiens is their face-off play. Right now, they sit at 49.5%, and that is because in the last week, Kirby Dach has jumped from 30.2 to 39.3 in the face-off circle. I mean, his career average is around 30%. So for him to be hovering about 40 is a feather in the Canadiens' cap and a feather in Martin St. Louis, and more importantly, Marc Bureau, who is the face-off consultant, for lack of a better term, for the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, Dach's play is completely different. He's surging. He's got, I believe it's 4 goals in his last 6 games. He's moving his feet. He's not lethargic out there. And he stopped taking those dumb penalties that he was taking earlier on in the season. And that happens when a player is behind the play. I mean, we've seen it, time and time again when players at the end of a shift, they're trying to defend, they tug a guy, they lift up his stick, they catch him in the eye, whatever the case is. That's what was happening to Kirby Dach, and you could see that frustration. But lo and behold, here comes the holiday trip. And I don't know whether you went home and Mama gave him a good off the back of the head, but at the end of the day, Kirby Dach is the Kirby Dach we expected when the Canadiens traded for him on the draft floor just a couple of years ago. And the next thing is something that's been missing for years now, and that is the contributions of supporting players, guys like Josh Anderson, Yoel Armia, and of course, Jake Evans. And it's not that these guys haven't contributed in the past. Josh Anderson having a really deplorable year last year. Yoel Armia, hot and cold, going to the AHL to try to find his game again. And Jake Evans, doing his job, but kind of below the radar because he wasn't really putting points on the board. Lo and behold, this season, the guys are coming together. The guys are putting points up. They're playing better in their particular roles. Josh Anderson giving a more checking role, and he's still getting quality scoring chances. He hasn't been able to put the puck in the net as often as maybe somebody would like, but that's not what his job is right now. His job is to shut down the opposing team and be a pain in the ass to them, and that's exactly what he's doing. The same can be said for Brendan Gallagher, who's put up, I believe at this point in the season, he's got 11 goals, and that's something that nobody was expecting. He got off to an extremely hot start when the Canadiens needed some scoring early on in the season, but he's always a pest, and you got to love him for that. Yoel Armia is probably one of the best players I have seen along the boards, not only being able to dig pucks out, granted he's a pretty big guy, but he's also got slick mitts in tight. The guy could stick handle through a phone booth. So, it's nice to see that all of a sudden, guys that were struggling earlier in the season are starting to see some success. Part of that is, I think, the locker room being a bit more jovial, as it were. I mean, there's still some guys, you look at them and you think, oh my God, they're going to commit suicide tomorrow. Right now, Sam Montembeault has that look every game. But by and large, this looks like a very happy group, and it shows in the way they're playing the game. And finally, the one thing that has been absolutely tremendous in the Canadiens being able to get to a playoff spot are special teams. The success that they've had not only on the power play, but on the penalty kill. They've had better shot selection, so they're not missing the net as much. They're getting shots on goal, and they've got a net front presence. I mean, those components alone are so important in the game of hockey. We talk about it ad nauseum. A lot of times we'd see the Canadiens come in off the rush, take one shot, and boom, play was over. We got a whistle. We got a face-off. A face-off that they would then lose, and the puck would go back the other way. It was just continuously the same revolving door, the same issue, time and time and time again. And now they've got multiple weapons on the power play. Their penalty kill is a lot more aggressive as far as puck pressure is concerned. And they're getting screens in front. The Caden Gooley goal just yesterday against the Vancouver Canucks is proof of that, because you had Heineman and, I'm not going to remember who the other guy was in front of the net, am I? It was Heineman and, come on. I can't remember. But there were two players in front of the net. Heineman was there for sure. I can't remember who the other guy was offhand. I'd have to look at the play again because I've been looking at video for the last 2 days. And so it's all those different components have come together for this team to succeed. Now, the one thing that we'd all like to see in order for them to succeed, in fact, is, a little bit more from the goaltending position. I put it up in the show yesterday, and I got a very, I think, hot and cold response from everybody out there. Some people agreed totally. The fact that Sam Montembeault has the same peripheral vision as Mr. Ed, or the fact that he's not following plays, or the fact that his rebound control is not where it should be. And that comes from being out of position, not recognizing what's going on in front of him. And I've played the position, guys. I'm not talking just for the sake of talking. You see what's coming at you. You see the players that are coming at you. And it's a goalie's responsibility not only to know, is it line 1, 2, 3, or 4 that's out there? Am I going to see shots? Am I going to see net front? Am I going to see, something from the high slot? That all depends on who's on the ice. And more often than not, if you know who's out there, it gives you a little bit of an advantage being able to read the play. For example, you know that Alex Ovechkin is going to try to fade to the left to take a shot, right? Because he's a right-handed shot. He loves that angle. Well, then you look for it, right? But it's not the only thing you look for. You also look from the point shot from John Carlson, right? You look at Tom Wilson because he's all over the ice, busting heads and scoring goals. I mean, those are all things, and I'm talking about that because Friday's coming up and they are playing the Capitals, but those are all things that a goaltender needs to be aware of. It's a lot like a catcher in baseball, right? A catcher in baseball dictates how the game goes, and it's the same thing for a goalie. If a goalie doesn't make a save, you see your team's morale just go down the toilet. When he makes a big one, everybody's happy. They're ready to go. They're pumped up. And more often than not, the goalie makes those saves when he's in proper position and has good technique to be able to control rebounds and get faceoffs. The Canadiens' faceoff percentage, like I said, at 49.5 right now, so they can actually, get in there and be competitive and do well on defensive zone draws. They're almost 50-50 on offensive and defensive zone starts. So it's something to look at, right? And so you need Montembeault to be a lot more solid because, like as I was saying, like a baseball catcher, a catcher needs to know every hitter, where he stands in the box. Does he like his pitches outside, inside? Does he get pissed off when he gets busted on the hands? Does he like his pitches low? Does he like him high? It's all the same type of thing, but from a different perspective in hockey. You need to know whether or not a guy likes to take a snapshot, wrist shot, or a big clapper. You need to know if he likes to skate down the left side or does he like to make drop passes. Is he a distributor? Is he a guy that pulls the trigger? All those things. 23 guys on the ice. It's a lot of work, but it's stuff that the goaltender needs to know. And it's not just him. His goaltending coaches, his assistant coaches, they sit down, they have a meeting, they talk about who's going to be on the ice, and they formulate a plan, like to do with everybody else. If it's not the strategy on the power play or whether it's at 5-on-5, what are we going to do? What's the forecheck going to be? It's the same premise. You do that with your goaltenders as well to have them ready. Are they ready? Guys, I continue to say that I'm disappointed in the job that Eric Raymond is doing. He got a lot of, pats on the shoulder because of the fact that he did well with Georgiev and Shesterkin. Well, both of those guys are grade A goaltenders. That's not the case with Montembeault, and certainly not with Dobesh, who's shown well anyway in his first two starts in the National Hockey League. But especially in Montembeault's case, like I said yesterday, his best save percentage in his career was .903. Shesterkin and Georgiev have both had higher career save percentages. So it's a little bit easier to play with goaltenders that have the ability to make saves even in a pinch, because we've seen that Montembeault has had a hard time making big saves when we need them. It starts with him following the play. It starts with him reading the play. It starts with him being in proper position. The rest will fall into place. And once that component comes in, you have a contender. Right now, I'm not going to say that the Canadiens are contenders for the Cup. Don't get me wrong. They're far from it. But all the pieces of the equation are there. All the numbers, all the X, Y, Zs, they're all there for the Canadiens right now as it is to contend. Are they going to be able to sustain it? Time will tell. Will there be injuries? Will there be anything else? We don't know. But it's fun to watch. Get Sam on board. Get him playing better hockey between the pipes. And lo and behold, the Montreal Canadiens are going to dominate. See you tomorrow.